All right, everybody, welcome to the Hard Truth Show. And tonight I'm going to talk about, for everybody filtering in, I'm going to be talking about, where are we headed as in the world? Where are we headed as a world and as an individual? And if you've noticed in the past month's time frame, I've taken quite a step back from the channel. And I apologize, guys. I just want to get all this set tonight. I've taken some steps back, and partly that's been because I've done the Restoring the Foundations conference. I've had a lot going on in business and etc. And this year, hey, shalom to everybody coming in the building. This year has been a fundamental reset for me in my life. And I know for many of us' lives, it's been a point where even as believers, we're all like, you know what? I have got to change the dynamic in which my life operates. Now, once again, I want to apologize to everybody. I know I said to set this for 9, but I wanted to go ahead and get up in here at 8 because that way I can go ahead and get through what I want to say and then spend time actually talking to everybody once some's filtering in the building around that time. And I'm also paying attention to the comments, guys. Yes, and happy Feast of Trumpets to everybody out there celebrating the Father's appointed times on His calendar, using His clock in the set in the sky and the firmament above. Steve from DIY Do It Yourself Offer. Hey guys, welcome everybody. So what I want to do first, before I go into the things that are coming down the pipe for everyone, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart some things to everybody. This is 8 years this channel's been, 8 years we've been going at this. And right before I got on here tonight, I know it was to take my piece away today, that I don't know how many copyright issues because some company now decided or either bought the music that's at the end of the show. And so they decided to hit me with all these things. And, guys, I've noticed on YouTube in these past couple years, it has just been one thing after another to be disruptive, leave a mark on your channel, etc. I keep it clean. I don't even curse on here. I mean, it's just been stupidity one after another. And I know why. It's because this message and the things I cover and talk about on here is hard-hitting truth. That's just how it's always been. Now, what I done following the Restoring the Foundations conference, I really took a month to myself. Somebody said I'm working on a platform, brother, called First Amendment Me. Hey guys, other platforms I'd be very curious to look into. But what I done, guys, and I'm gonna take some breaks in between here and get in the comments, but I just really want to get the core of this out real quick. As far as it comes to myself, I took some time to myself, and I hope this is encouragement to other people. I took a month to myself. I went golfing with my son. Matter of fact, we're going to a mini golf tournament in the morning. I went golfing with my son. I went and spent time with my mom and dad on the farm. I've done all sorts of things. Went and visited friends. I just took and hit the brakes. I put jobs that was going to do, on the run that's just been like boom, 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 one job after another. I just put stuff on the back burner. I started really planning on prep. I ordered food from, I've ordered food from beprepared.com. I ordered food from, you can check the link down below. It supports the channel, guys. Prepare for the trumpets. Ordered food from there. I've been buying prep supplies, went to the gun show, bought magazines, bullets, ammo. I would just turn the prepping dial all the way up. Like I said, I went, I've tried to get my finances straight. I sold my tiny house on wheels so that I could put money toward the actual home because, I lost a lot of stuff in my divorce. I've tried to reorganize business, you name it. I really took that month after the conference and I'm like, where do I want to go with my life? And I think if there was ever a time that is more important now, that we really need to pump the brakes as individuals and look at everything. Like, I don't know how many of my friends we've talked lately, and it's like, what am I doing? Am I doing enough for my family? Am I doing enough for what is to come? Like, real inner work, reevaluating. And I was like, all I'm doing is working, traveling, giving myself and my time to others all the time. And there's nothing wrong with helping other people. There's nothing wrong with warning people. It's just there comes a point where you got to build your own arc. And I've had to start all the way from the bottom up again. And this next year, I told myself this 7th month comes from this time till next October. I'm going to focus on me, myself, and I under the Most High whenever it's not Sabbath or it's not His appointed times. Like, I'm going to focus hardcore on bettering myself physically, mentally. Guys, I'm almost under 200 pounds on the scale. That's a big thing to me. I want to get back down to a $178. I've got like goals for this year, been walking, been exercising. I've just really taken and cut a lot of people out of my life on social media. I've really stepped away from everything, even Facebook pretty much for the most part, other than just a few things here and there. And I'm telling y'all this because a lot of us get lost in the grind. I get lost in the daily grind. I'm sure y'all get lost in the daily grind. And this year, we have got to really reorganize in the mind, because I'm going to go down a laundry list of stuff that, like, that's why I'm asking, what's really going on out here in the world, and as an individual, we've got to wake up. And somebody said, I think the truth is coming out, and YouTube, let me see, sorry, it says here, I think the truth is coming out on YouTube, so they don't like it. Yeah, guys, and TikTok, I think the reason TikTok's getting pulled is because there's so many people are laying the hammer down on TikTok, getting truth out there. I know it's being used for perverted and sick and other things, but I mean, a lot of truths gets shared on TikTok too, I think. So I think that's why the TikTok's getting cut, because it's so viral so fast anymore, way past the means of YouTube going viral, I think. Somebody said, awesome, man, I'm down to 165 from 215. I pushed people away last few years on media, not on purpose, but fear of this now. Yeah, and the thing is, guys, we got to thin a lot of people out of our life, because this is going to be the people later down the road calling and reporting you and throwing you under the bus to Uncle Sam. Now, I've done something. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to get into, a real in-depth thought process on the world. There's a lot of things that's going on that, man, I just can't even catalog it all in this live stream tonight. But I'm going to share with you something that I have I took a radical approach to this in the past month, and it has fundamentally changed my life. I'm telling you, like, I think your energy resonates, and it draws things to you. I've adopted a no-care policy. Like, used to, and stuff go wrong, I'd be like, oh man, what can I do to make it right for you? What can I do to fix this? Blah, blah. Anymore, I'm like, if it's on fire, where is the gasoline? Let me throw some more on and watch it burn. I've adopted a no-care policy. I've cut a lot of drama out. If people cause drama anymore, I just move away from them. And in this past month, literally by having this no-care policy, all right, is that I have seen so many positive things happen. I'll give you an example. The wind turbine got destroyed on my family farm, okay? I built that thing years ago. The insurance company literally paid my family enough to replace it plus some. I was blown away. So, like, I was just like, you know what, I ain't worried about it. It'll sort out. And sure enough, it sorted out. And then I had been done wrong by the insurance company on my health care and got stroked like twice. And one time for almost a year's payment. They literally, a check come in the mail the other day to reimburse me for that. And I can just keep going down the list of amazing things that happen. I finally was like, you know what, forget it. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this tiny house sold. I'm just, it is what it is. Somebody will come show up and buy it. Somebody showed up and bought it. I mean, like, I'm telling you guys, like, if we can just stop worrying about everything and just give it over to the Most High, it'll sort out. I've been stressed out about a home for a long time. It's sorted out this month too. It's like the 1 month that I decided to just say, you know what, forget it, let Rome burn. I'm just going to chill out. Everything's just been like gravy. And I encourage this whole year, 2020 has been a nightmare for a lot of people. And I think the best thing us as believers can do is just relax, because what's the wicked flee when nothing pursues them, I think it is. It's the statement in the scripts, and it's just like, we as believers shouldn't have to worry about nothing, right? If we're doing the commands, we should be protected. Now, if I go before the trumpets take place, if I go and YouTube takes me off of here, whatever comes or goes. If I don't see here, I'll see you on the other side. That's all I got to say on that. But guys, real quick, I want to read something. A lot of people's talking about how small their circle's getting. Yeah. Somebody said I'm getting the same way. Yeah, I'm telling you, that no-care attitude, it's going to carry you through the years ahead, because I'm telling you, this year is just I think 2020 is like training wheels for the 7 trumpets to come, man. It's going to be like 100 times worse. People's talking about somebody said my circle of people has become a tiny dot. And somebody said that the fact that China owns TikTok, yeah, man, because America's media is just getting crazy. I'm telling you guys, like, I don't know how many days and hours and weeks and months and years I have left on YouTube with you guys. I mean, it has radically changed, especially since Google purchased it. Now, what I want to say is that, oh, somebody shared it right there. Proverbs 28. Thank you, J.D. Israel said, the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Now, things are going to change forever. Guys, I'm going to get into, where's the world headed. I don't have a lot of positivity to say on the things that's coming, all right? But at least we have, I've talked about a lot of things throughout the years on here. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, they're moving troops over against the Russians there. That was breaking news earlier today, right before I done this live. And keep in mind, like I've talked about, 2nd Ezra, it talks about Damascus being destroyed. Isaiah 17 talks about Isaiah chapter 17, I believe it is, talks about Damascus being a ruinous heap. And 2nd Ezra says that pretty much, when that country and those others are destroyed, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, and Iran, would be Persia in that time frame, I believe. When those are laid waste, well, that's the beginning of sorrow. So, I mean, we're seeing some hash marks. We're seeing all sorts of famine and plague and death. And, I mean, we're on the doorstep of the end of the age. And not only that, the trumpets and, it talks about in 2nd Ezra, don't be weighed down by your sins. I believe it's it, or 2nd Baruch talks about don't let your sins weigh down. Yeah, it's 2nd Ezra. And chapter 16 talks about don't be weighed down by your sins and the burden of your sins. And, we really don't. Guys, I promise I'm going to go in and read the comments here and everything. And take breaks. But, the political atmosphere, neither of which is good. Now, I want you to understand, I count myself a libertarian. I would not vote for Trump, and I won't vote for Biden. I have my reasons for both. But the thing about it is laying that aside, one thing that has stuck out to me is all these protests and lawlessness in the streets is that a lot of people that like anti-Trump wanted to vote for Biden, right? But Biden literally stood up the other day and said that burning and looting cities is lawlessness, and people were silent. And as much as I understand the people being aggravated at people being murdered and things like that, Black Lives Matter doesn't support Black lives. It's just they've never done anything good for the community, just like the KKK, right? Just drama and destruction in the street. It's just like the whole pro-abortion thing. There's all these movements out here that, and all these political movements are surrounding them too, that all it is centered for is a systemic destruction of the family, systemic destruction of your cities and your people around you. And people cannot see past that. Like, I'll tell you the thing that drives me nuts, and I'm not a black person, but if I was a black person, I'd be livid, is because you see Black Lives Matter, and then you see a homosexual agenda always surrounding it. And if you look, the people that are at the head of Black Lives Matter are homosexual. And so there's always this agenda to destroy. I've noticed this. There's this huge agenda to destroy families and the family element and communities. And it's right now, that's the thing. Years ago, KKK. Now it's Black Lives Matter. Tomorrow, who knows what it'll be. But people can't see past the color of skin. People can't see past where we're at. They don't see the agendas at work. And that's what's heartbreaking. This political atmosphere is not good. And the thing that's going to come to pass is that regardless who gets elected, and I can summarize this next year real quickly, is somebody said right there, every so-called movement leads you to spiritual suicide. Yep, exactly. And the thing is, guys, I want you to all understand, if you love y'all, I don't care what color you are in here, I love you, okay? We don't need to put no blue lives matter, black lives matter, all lives matter, none of that. If you love y'all, you matter to me, and I love you. And I hope we make it in the kingdom. Hope I'm counted worthy to life and the next resurrection. But, people cannot see past this political stuff, and you got to understand that this election is going to be one of the most pivotal elections that has ever taken place in the history of our country and probably the world. And, we have two paths that are going to be followed. I believe that if Trump is elected, now please note this is Luke's thoughts, okay? I'm only expressing my thoughts and opinions at this moment. I'm going to get into some real serious stuff in a minute, but I want to just touch on the election real quick, is that we've got to understand that the following situation's taking place if Trump is reelected. ladies and gentlemen, I give it less than a year, we'll probably be at war with China. We will have all sorts of things going on. We will have economic problems. I'm telling you, it's going to be self-sabotage from within. People will lose their mind. Now, the next thing about it is if Biden goes in, then you're going to have socialism and stuff from Nazi Germany tomorrow. I mean, the next day, you're going to see Nancy Pelosi turn loose to run wild. And I mean, keep in mind, matter of fact, two situations that may pan out regardless is that I think there's 3 aircraft carrier groups over there in the South China Sea right now. We may be at war before election. Not only that, if Biden does get elected, that doesn't stop the fact that there may still be war. I mean, I want people to understand that that's a very clear and present danger. And not only that, but the river Euphrates drying up to make way for the kings of the east. China's already on India's border. I mean, I'm just throwing all this out there because it's like when I look at the end of the world, I look at it like the game of Risk. And I see all the pieces starting to really sift into their strategic locations. And we're about to see the wrap up of this game of Risk too. Now, one other thing I want to share with you is real quick. I'm going to read some comments and then we're going to go knee deep. Is food is going to be an issue. Guys, if you go to prepare for the trumpets, all right, the link that I have that, helps support this channel and advertising, I ordered through my own advertising link. I think the other day when me and Abby checked it, there was like 14,000 orders behind mine. Then it was like 20-something thousand orders behind mine, and I'm still 2 weeks in on waiting to get that stuff. Now, I ordered from BePrepared.com the other day. They're still out of some stuff, but I bought prep food from them for years. And when I got that order in the other day, I just received it yesterday, I believe I just received it. So I'm telling you guys, like, food's going to get scarce. And if you haven't got prep food, if you haven't bought a Berkey for water, if you haven't bought some of the simple stuff, it needs to be done yesterday, not 2 weeks from now. Go take a loan out if you need to. Well, Father, please forgive me, because Scripture teaches against taking money on interest. But whatever you need to do, sell something, pawn something, get some food, all right? Now, real quick, I want to back up for a second and read the comments because y'all blowing the comment section up tonight. And I know it's been a long time since I've done a live stream. See what we got here. Somebody said TikTok has been stealing data and people's private info in the app, and when an app said was not, like banking info from other apps. Oh, wow. Man. Somebody said, Susan McCormick said, JD Israel, absolutely, fathers raised his end of days warriors to be bold as lions. You used to help me admin run DIY off-grid living survival. Didn't want to dox myself too much since I stream nowadays too. Oh, I got you, brother. Yeah. And Brian May, I think, also helped out on that. Yeah, man, we'll have to catch up. Shalom. Randall said, finally made a live stream. Glad to have you in here. Every so-called movement leads you to spiritual suicide. Satan tries every avenue to fool you. That's right. Let it burn. That's right. Michael Dolson, I agree with you 100%. I'm to the point anymore where, guys, I honestly feel like death would be a release. I just don't want to die in an unrighteous state. But as a child, I used to absolutely fear death. And I go to sleep anymore, and I'm like, if I don't wake up tomorrow, it's okay. And, man, that's crazy to know that I've went from that mentality to this mentality. But I really look forward to the new kingdom. Listen, guys, even if I'm serving the new kingdom, if I can just have eternal life, peace of mind, and enter in, all praise the Most High Yah. I know it will be worth it in the end. Somebody said, right, all leads to communal living, a.k.a. communist living, leads back to Burnside District, the Coles. BLM promotes the destruction of the nuclear family. It absolutely does. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody on here that you are a black person, and you know that I have always, ever since 2015, come to the knowledge of length of study into who the true Hebrews were. Once I come to the knowledge of that and told people who the true Hebrews are, y'all know that I support the true ancestry of so-called black man, true Hebrew Israelite. But with that said, Black Lives Matter ain't your friend. If y'all actually want to get some good knowledge base here, also I told Ron I'd share this with you. And I'm going to actually do a shout-out video for this, but this is the second installment in the Curses of Israel documentary for Ronald Dalton put this together. Now I'm in this. I'm in this in a couple segments, but now in part 3 that's coming out after this one, you can see my interview that Ron done with me from a person of the nation's perspective on the true Hebrew Israelites, and why does the nations not grasp it? What is wrong with people? Blah blah blah. And I really hope that it's a help. But if you haven't checked this out, go over the Hebrews to Negroes Network, and you can get you a copy of this. Like I said, I'm going to be doing an additional shout out video on that. But anyway, like I said, Black Lives Matter though they don't care nothing about, they just don't care about you. It's an agenda, and matter of fact, people get trucked in with Antifa just to cause these demonstrations destruction. It's nuts. You really need to research it out before you support some of these movements. Now, what is the top reason to believe in fake alien invasion? What is the top reason? All right, one of the top and I've actually got that on my list of things to cover tonight. The top reason that people's going to want to believe in that is because of NASA and the darn globe junk, and feeding people lies that they've been indoctrinated for so long they're going to accept it. Somebody said, have no fear. Biblically, that's said more than anything. No worries, just give it up to Elohim. It's always worked out best for me when I do as well. Yeah, and guys, I'll be honest with you. When I throwed my hands up this past month after the conference, I just threw my hands up and I'm like, okay, I'm done for a while. I'm just done. Whatever comes or goes, good or bad, it is what it is, but I'm done. And things have just, honestly, just started ironing right out after that. We are at war with China now. Department of Defense said China is using DEWs on us in Cali, direct energy weapons. I don't know. I think that could be a false flag thing. We're probably using them direct energy weapons on ourselves. However, in Australia and in California, they definitely look like lasers coming down. Somebody said Shalom, Feast of Trumpets, Akim, Baruch Yahweh. Absolutely, all praise the Most High Yah. Somebody said, I can't listen to you now that you wouldn't vote for Trump. He's our only option of true freedom. I understand this last days. He is the world's only hope. No, the Most High Yah is the world's only hope. Our elected officials, let me tell you, it's a good one. Well, we have all this stuff going on with the, and I don't want to give a false report on people. Just research this for yourself. But I actually found out that they gave a report out. You see all these elected officials and everybody's getting caught for pedophilia and everything. Is that apparently there was like 6 different instances where that the guy that he recently pardoned, that lawyer guy or whatever, had been instrumental in paying certain individuals off, and it was young boys and girls, where that they had sexual assaults by Trump. And I read the report and everything. Like I said, you read so much stuff, you don't know if it's true. You don't, Sandusky, okay. You don't know if it's true, you don't know if it's false. All I'm saying is, it was ridiculous how many situations, and it was like 12-year-old boy, 11-year-old girl, homosexual act, sexual act, all this stuff. It's just like, how many of these, is all this a lie? I'm like, and then not to mention, what was it, Stormy Daniels, the porn star. Then a day ago, I think some chick said something about that she got messed around by him at the U.S. Open. I'm like, I understand when you hit a position of power, people's just gonna, like, if I hit a position of power tomorrow, people would probably throw false allegations if they didn't like me, or they'd come up with some bunch of garbage. But I'm just saying, folks, like, I do not look at Trump as a man of great esteem. I don't, because when he said, I'll tell you, for me, when it was a complete checkout was when he said that he just knew of Epstein, but he didn't really know him, I believe is what he said. Then at that point, I see all these pictures where they're friends and they've hung out and all this stuff, and they look like best of friends forever. I'm like, you don't just have heard of somebody, you obviously knew the man. And so, Epstein already has a whole plethora of problems surrounding him, and all the stuff that went on. And like, look, if y'all want to vote for Trump, freaking go pull the lever. I'm not. Y'all want to vote for Biden and bring in socialism and Nazi Germany 2.0, go freaking pull the lever. I ain't supporting that mess. I ain't having no part, no more. Guys, I wish that there was a libertarian candidate that stood for the Most High Yah, and that we could just go right down there and pull the lever, because at least I could feel good about saying I would be all right with this person. But at this point in time, I'm like, you know what? The only sovereign I recognize anymore is the Most High Yah. And, you know, when his son Yahshua HaMashiach comes back and sets up on the throne, rules with a rod of iron, it ain't going to matter what country we're from and who was running the show. That's going to be the one running the show, and I'm all fine with that. The sooner, actually, the better, because this country sucks. Its leaders sucks. This world's leaders sucks, and I'm ready for a change of government. Now, real quick, what I want to say, though, is as what we're in the comments on that, is that a lot of people don't understand that if you really start looking at these so-called elected officials and you really dig deep enough, the crap that they call other people out on, they're actually knee-deep involved in. And so, like I said, you can say, well, Luke, all them allegations about him sexualizing these young children are false. Okay, fine. That's where you're at with it. This ain't a show about politics. But all I'm saying is when you have so many different situations that keeps coming forward, old people, young people, people keep getting paid off, you keep having this happening, and it's always the same thing. It's sexual stuff. You have to stop at some point and be like, is some of these at least true? Because if so, this is messed up, right? He's no better than some of the others, all right? So that's all I'm saying on that. Moving on, let's see here. Somebody said, oh, yep, J.D. Israel shared it. Revelation 16:12, and sixth angel poured out its vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, the way the kings of the east might be prepared. Absolutely. Yeah, I miss you guys. I'll have to explain what all went down. I have been dealing with that and had a bad... Yeah, man, just email me at 7trumpetsprepper@gmail, brother. I'd be glad to catch up with you. Shalom, everybody. A lot of yous coming in. Happy Feast of Trumpets, everyone, as well. Somebody said, yes, Black Lives Matters was set up by lesbians and Harris back up LGBT. I try to tell people about the things going on and they laugh. Yeah, I'm serious. Think about this, guys. For those that are black, I'm a white guy. And I say I totally support the black community. I'm just saying I don't support Black Lives Matter because they don't support you. Now, when I say that, and you make a full circle, you make like, well, wait a minute. This white guy ain't racist. He's from the deep South. And he says a statement like that, I might need to go check that out. You know, I love you. I love some of y'all guys. Shins are woke. Somebody said, we know Ak, Luke. We Hebrews never have subscribed BLM. Shout out to you. That's right. Yeah, PLM is pro-abortion, which is #1 killer of black babies. That's a fact, folks. BLM is a Marxist movement, while Antifa is communist. Do want some things genocide. I definitely don't support. Man, y'all crushing it over here. I'm glad that everybody that's in here is woke on that. Especially, I see a lot of you, you know, from the Hebrew community, and see that. A lot of rest connected to fires. Yeah, it's false flag. I'm thinking the fire thing's false flag. Somebody said, don't put no hope in flesh, so I do not look Donald Trump no more than I do any pastor, teacher. Titles don't impress me, only Yahuwah through Yahushua. That's great, Donna. That's outstanding. How many coincidences until it's mathematically impossible? That's what I'm saying, guys. I just said that comment about the report I read, right? Well, then I look up on Google, and as I'm pulling this up, there was that about the U.S. Open thing, and that situation went down. It's like, how many occurrences until some of this has got to be truth? Hey, Kingdom Truth, good to have you in the building, Brother Shalom. Somebody said, I'm personally voting third party. I don't see any other way. If you're going to go pull a lever, you have to vote third party. I might need to just go down there and wrote Yahuwah and put it in the ballot box, because that way at least it can be on record in the last day of judgment. I chose my sovereign. He knew what they were doing. Now he's arrested. And the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one, including Trump. They are all involved. Y'all's our only hope. Yep. I don't vote. It's a selection, not an election. Almost caught up on the comments here, guys, and then I'm going to go on to the next thing. And he changes the times. He removeth kings, setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom to the wise and knowledge to them that know understand it. Yep. Any recommendations on homesteading areas? East Tennessee, the Ozarks. Honestly, guys, I mean, that's two of the best places I can think of, you know, right now in this country that's really got most of everything you needed. Somebody said Trump's controlled opposition. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to move in to the real, if you've stayed in here for 30 minutes, this is the one part I don't want you to miss. if you don't have your passport, if you don't have driver's license, if you don't have all the stuff taken care of, anything important documentation, government-wise, anything you need to do, you need to get it done before October of next year. Now listen, if you want to know when somebody's being 100% real with you, it's when they'll sit right here. I think the subscriber base, I think we're at 72,000 subs. Is when I tell you, any of you, correct me right now if I'm wrong, and I'm watching the feed and the comments, is you correct me right now instantly if you can think of one time, and I'm dead serious, like correct me right here on the spot, that this live tonight. Tell me one time in the history of this country where they come forward and said, okay, this is going to be a new law. This is how it's going to be. It's already set in motion, and then completely make a 180 and back out on it. Now, I'm going to let y'all simmer on that one for a second. And please, by all means, fire away in the comment section, because now I can't think of any other time. This is the only time I've ever seen this happen, was with Real ID. It was supposed to take place this year, and I know what a lot's going to say. This is the only response that I want to hear is, yeah, Luke, well, there was a pandemic. So that might actually make more premise that for what the explanation they give for Real ID, it might actually make it more reasonable to want to have it done sooner. But yet they waited. They pushed it back a whole year. And I'm telling you, folks, 5G, they backing out. DOD said not safe. Yeah, maybe they're having to edit it and work on it. That's a real good thought. But here's the thing, is whatever they push that back a year for, if you haven't got you an off-grid property, and now I'm not saying this to guys, I'm booked up the rest of the year for off-grid construction. So if you want me to bolt you down, you need to just go ahead and book for next year, because it's done. You want to check out with us, offgridcontracting.com. Be glad to bolt you up, but I'm booked out. I'm sorry. It's just, I mean, I'm not sorry for the work, but I mean, we're just covered up. But like, if you haven't got you a place off-grid, a well, a home, power, food, water, I'm dead serious about this, guys. Like, I'm about to step out and do this same thing all over again this year. I'm already in full motion doing this all over again, because I lost it all the first time through, almost going through a divorce. So I'm telling you, like, this is my second rodeo. And if you ain't getting this done between now and next October, the next year is critical. I mean, like, we need to be moving with speed of eagles, because whatever is going to go down, they full motion plan to get it in motion next year. Now, there's a couple other things that go along with that. Is that if you came to the conference and or if you listened into the conference when Ron presented part 1 and part 2 of the last days, which complemented the things I talked about in the last days, he had a great segment in his presentation about AI being fully autonomous by 2025. Now, I just sat and read today for the first time that I ever know of 2030 agenda in full depth, like bullet point. Yeah, I'll elaborate on next year in just a second, but let me just say this real quick about Agenda 2030. Is like, if you look at that grand plan, folks, if you take the book 1984, now I just gave my copy to a friend, and hopefully they'll pass it on to somebody else, but that agenda is right spot down the line with 1984. It is unreal. And the thing about it is if you have the Real ID situation put into place next year, you have forced vaccinations in a couple year with the Lucifer, it's Lucifer something is in it, and it's an RNA thing that goes in with your blood, and it pretty much makes you a hybridized person, like a Nephilim. And Lucifer race. Thank you, who shared that. People, y'all all over it. Flat and Level Under the Dome said Lucifer race. Thank you, guys. Lucifer race goes in. It changes your DNA because there's an RNA, I believe, that goes in. It's like a zipper. It spreads it apart, then it fills in the void. Well, it also apparently has bioluminescent. That's how they look it up. And because Brother Kevin was telling me this at fellowship recently, and Brother Joel, they brought me up to speed on this like last Sabbath, I think, when we all got together, last Sabbath or the one before. And anyway, the elders were telling me that what happens is that later down the line, that because they've used this from, I think there was something from scorpions and arachnids and stuff like that too, that's in it that later it gives this bioluminescence that so they can check to make sure you have it. But you also have to have it reloaded on you later down the road, and also apparently in I don't know, I think it's about a decade's time frame. It actually becomes, it's 7 years or a decade. I can't remember which one that told me, and I don't want to mistell this. Just Google this up. Is that it becomes toxic to the body. And if we think about it, in the trumpets, there's those that receive the mark will be tormented. But not only that, in the bowls of wrath, those that receive the mark receive a grievous sore upon them. So there's that toxicity probably being interacted with the body. And it's interesting, that, this is some serious stuff. And, you know, money's going to be an issue with this. Like, if you look at it, it's like a three-step thing. You have real ID, you have vaccination, and then if you don't, then you got this digital currency thing, all this stuff. And I've noticed too that people that are tied up in the cryptocurrency thing, now they're starting to like try to bust people for false cryptocurrency and all this. And it's like they're trying to force everything down one venue, and the chips and all that stuff. And guys, let me look right here. Somebody said, after the vaccine, they'll try to get chips in us. Yep. Let's see. It says somebody said, did you hear about the top rabbi in the fake state of Israel, Rabbi Clint Chaim Kanevsky says he's been in meetings with the Messiah. Sounds like the false Messiah is here on earth, man of perdition. Somebody said they're scared of the wrath of Yah. Somebody said vote for Yahuwah. There you go. Well, the thing is, guys, to me, I look at the man of sin, the Pope in Rome. This is where I'm at with it. Whether you look at him as the Antichrist, the false prophet, whatever goes down, wherever this man finally comes out, if you don't look at the Pope as that, then wherever this guy finally filters out, then you're going to see the Pope right there around it. I promise you that. It's the thing. You can always find snakes. You'll find another. And so all roads lead to Rome. What's the reason? Yep, I'll always say all roads lead to Rome. Yep, there you go. All roads lead to Rome. And that's the thing right there. Chad, I think I got your message too. It hit me a reminder at 7trumpetsprepper at Gmail, because I couldn't find your original email that you sent to me, I don't think, but I did get your comment the other day, so please just let me know on that, and I'll try to answer your question for you. But, the thing about it is with the vaccine is a lot of people, I don't see pastors or anybody really making a big stand about this, is because, me and my dad's talking about this the other day, and Dad's like, I ain't taking it. I just can't. I don't think I'm going to take that. And I'm like, no, you can't, because it's not just a vaccine. This is something that it fundamentally changes who we are as a human being. And when you do that, the problem that arises is now we are at the point in history of humanity where we can actually be as of the days of Noah, because you have hybridized human beings, and nobody's talking about that. I haven't seen one pastor come out and say that, and I'm talking in Christianity, okay, churchianity, or in the way. I haven't really seen anybody come out and say, and I'm not trying to be special in this. I would prefer everybody come out and say this, but like I haven't seen anybody come out and say, hey, just so you know, this DNA is going to make you a Nephilim, or this vaccine is going to make you a Nephilim. I haven't seen one person come out and say that. I haven't seen anybody come out and say that I know of. And guys, I promise I'm going to scroll back up and read y'all's comments here. But it's just, it's madness to me that people's even willing to go do that, because when you do that, there's a no turning back. It's almost like that movie Downsizing, when I think it's Matt Damon in it or whatever. Whenever you get turned to the little person in that movie, there was no going back to being a big person. So you were miniaturized, Nephilimized, and you couldn't go back. It was a one-way trip. You could stay a big human if you wanted to, but if you went tiny, you couldn't go back. And, to me, that's the beginning of the end. I mean, when people take this vaccination, they're going to be past the point of return, because, the way I look at it is, in the days of Noah, Noah was perfect in his generations and righteous. And, you know, when you become one with that right there too, you look at it, you can receive the mark in the hand or in the forehead. That's mental agreement with the beast power, physical action, tie in with them with the hand. I mean, like, guys, you know, you only, the servants of the Most High only receive it in the seal in the forehead. You know, I mean, people are just not seeing this for what it is. I'm going to get into the borders and other stuff like that, leaving the borders. I want to make some comments on that in a minute, but let me read some of these comments real quick. Somebody said, yeah, it has Lucifer racing. That's crazy. And apparently, I believe Brother Kevin and Brother Joel told me that the patent on that is 060606 is the patent number on that. Now, somebody said, Bill Gates said his vaccine is painful and takes up to 6 treatments. And do we really want to take the one from Russia? This is the same vials as, that is in the same vials as adrenochrome. Guys, if y'all haven't read, it's, I think in chapter 76 or 78, in the book of Yasher. I read this this morning, and I take no credit for this. Somebody else shared this with me. I missed this or didn't pay attention to it the first time through on the reading years ago, is that it said that Pharaoh fell ill. And the wise men and the sorcerers or whatever told Pharaoh that if they would put child's blood on his wounds, that he'd be healed. And so they went and took Hebrew children, murdered them for 365 children they murdered, so one every day. And they put the blood into Pharaoh's wounds and tried to heal him, but the Most High Yah wouldn't let him be healed, according to what the script said. But it's like starting the 28th verse of the 76th or 78th chapter of Book of Yasher. You check that out. And man, I was just like blown away because I'm like, guys, you got to think about it. If that was adrenochrome, right? Because the child's been scared, then murdered, and their blood used. That's all the way back to Mitzrayim, ancient Egyptian dynasties, way back. That's crazy. All right, so you got to understand this occult thing, man. This has been going on ever since the fallen angels. Everybody just acts like this is a new thing going on. This stuff goes deep and way freaking back. Let me see here. Let's see. When is the last time the government gave you something for free and it was honest? Absolutely. See. Somebody said the vaccine's the star of the mark of the beast. Yeah. Scared, can't even preach the full, I guess that's the full gospel there too. I guess that's what they were trying to say. It's sad that people don't believe this. Concerned with pleasing everyone with milk, not solid meat. That's absolutely right, Angela. People in Christianity oppose any truth more than anyone these days. That's honestly true. I can talk with people that are worldly and have a more meaningful conversation with them than a lot of church people. That's crazy. Days of the Lord of the Ring, yeah. Bloodthirsty orcs, the reason for the deluge. Somebody said deep. I guess that's when I was talking about the Book of Yasher. Keep in mind, folks, Book of Yasher, 88th chapter, talks about Battle of Jericho, and that right there proves new moon days are a day all themselves, work days are a day all themselves, and the Sabbath's a day of assembly. There's 3 classes of days in Scripture, and that proves the lunisolar scriptural calendar too, in the 88th chapter of Book of Yasher too. Somebody said if positioned in 2 places where your body regulates more heat, the right hand and the forehead, they check your temperature in your forehead. Let's see. Scrolling down. All right, so something I want to share with you is now, this is another thing is like we can see as the world is headed. Everybody was like, you know, here's something else for all my Trump fans out there, is they said, build the wall, build the wall. It's like, everybody can't stand the Mexican. And I'm like, dude, honestly, when I go out on a job site, I will give a prop to anybody that's Latino. They are some of the hardest working people I've ever met on job sites, all right? But everybody's like, no, don't let the Mexican into America. I'm like, they're build the wall. But here's the thing. What do you think walls are made for? It's not just to keep things out. It's to keep people and things in. I've been a farmer all my life, pretty much. And the cows stay in the fence. It also keeps stuff out, but it keeps the cows in the fence. And you know, the borders, we've seen with Rona how the borders were like on lockdown and you can't travel and all this stuff. And, cruise lines are canceling cruises. And I have a theory on that. It's not just because this Corona thing. it's a control measure because those other cruises aren't even going to open back up until later on in the middle of next year or later toward like the mid of the year. So you only got like a short span there before that October deadline. I've always said this for a long, well, I won't say always said, I've said this for a long time that if I wanted to ever leave this country and go somewhere else, all I'd do is just sign up for a cruise, go take the cruise, step off, and not get back on the boat. Now you're in Antigua or Jamaica or Mexico or Europe or somewhere, but you're not here and you got out. And, you know, if you're wanting to leave, that's an easy way to just go and not come back and nobody really look for you. Heck, you could be lost or dead for all they know. You fell off the boat. And but cruises are canceling left and right on people. I booked a cruise for the beginning of the pagan new year, and I got the cancellation notice the other day that they canceled it. So that's gone, and it's okay. I'm not being up about it. But my point in case is that like getting to move freely between other nations, and even like I said, take a simple cruise and go somewhere else. I just find it very interesting in contrast that the deadlines for actually getting to take another cruise are way down the line. And get this, the odd thing to me is it's like say you gave like $100 deposit on your cruise, right? They're willing to give you like $600 per person per stateroom to take it later down the line. And you might say, well, look, they're hurting for business. Really? You're going to incentivize me to kick the bucket that far down the line and that don't have no agenda behind it? I mean, like, I'm sorry, guys, nothing's free anymore, okay? Ain't no way you're just going to hand me $600 to take a $200 cruise. I ain't buying it. And the other thing is it's so close to that October date thing. I'm talking like we're in with months time frame. I just telling you guys like the access points for easily leaving this country anymore. Airport, cruises, go across the border. There's walls. Now there's bans on cruises. Now there's bans on flights. Like it is getting very hard to transit this world anymore. Where that if you just want to get on a flight tomorrow and go to see Paris, that's not going to happen, bro. You know, people, they're canceling these guided tours because, like, I wanted to take my wife for our 1 year anniversary next year to Paris on these guided tours. Stuff like that canceled and refunded, or some stuff canceled, pushed forward, and not refunded. I've never seen anything like this happen in the history of humanity. There's got to be something going on around that. And not only that, look at the dates on all this stuff that it gets kicked down the road, okay? Now, let me just look right here real quick. Somebody said, let's see, would you explain why we should read the book of Yasher now, new to being woke but hungry for truth? Okay, well, Angela, the reason I would read the book of Yasher is because it has, oh my goodness, it is such a great resource to back up so many things that's read throughout the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. But not only that, it has great knowledge in it, like as far as the Father's appointed times. Like people's like, well, you know, I've asked this question to people for over a decade now, the best of my knowledge, and I'm like, what day was Sabbath on the Battle of Jericho? And people, it's S.A. Daykeeper, they can't say a word. S.U.N. Day, they can't give me no reason other than just to try to dismiss it. But people that keep the Father's lunisolar biblical calendar, it's very simple. It was New Moon Day started day 1. They fought for the 6 work days, and the next day was Sabbath because New Moon Day starts the month. You have 4 consecutive work weeks, 4 Sabbaths, and then it's another month. It's real simple. And if you want to check out worldslastchance.com, they got a great calendar app. You can learn a lot about that too and more information throughout the scripture. But like Yasher's a great backup for that. I totally encourage you reading that. If you haven't read the book of 2nd Ezra, 2nd Baruch, those are real important for last days as well. Somebody said, Trump built that wall to keep us in. They cheered for their own cage. Yep. Somebody said Trump has paid and ordered millions to vaccines, almost a total of 300 million by the end of the year. Look it up, it's true. And he said he will have the army help distribute and give out vaccinations. Yeah, now I've seen that. Somebody said, what site? It is worldslastchance.com. That's the website. And guys, you can get the app on the App Store. Just type in World's Last Chance on the App Store, and that app's free for the Lunisolar Scriptural Calendar. Well, now that's a great point. Before we get into any more of my points, Blessed and Healthy said it doesn't matter where you're trying to run to, judgment will be worldwide. That is an excellent point. But let me ask you all this. Especially in the military, you hear the term collateral damage, right? We especially people that's a Seventh-day Adventist, used to be a Seventh-day Adventist, and now you're in the way, walking in the way. You know that studying Scripture, we look at the Roman Catholic Church as the first beast of Revelation, and America is the second beast of Revelation because it had horns like a lamb but spoke like a dragon. And, you can look at those two horns as church and state. That's kind of how I viewed it as well. Well, and of course, the beast rose out of the sea, which is multitudes, nations, or many people, right? Many nations and people. Whereas, the earth is obviously sparsely populated, like where America rose from. Now, looking at that, that means that Rome and America should be greatly judged during the seven trumpets, especially the bowls of wrath. So my question is, what would be better, living on like a Greek island in the middle of the Mediterranean where you could take a hop skip to the Holy Land, which I believe it's in the second Baruch or second Esdras talks about. I believe it's in second Baruch, talks about the Holy Land will be protected of its own. So wouldn't it be wise to be away from those places, because most likely they're going to be judged very harshly? Not to mention, look at what America done to its indigenous people. Look what America done to the jewels of the Most High Yah. Like you see that statement from Nazi Germany, from Hitler, what he said about the true Hebrews. I mean, do you really want to be up in this place when shots start getting popped off? Because, I mean, all nations are going to be judged, but literally it talks about in second Baruch that there'll be people out of all nations spared when Mashiach comes and sets, and rules, because that they didn't mistreat his people, but the nations that knowed his people mistreated them are going to be judged. I mean, like, guys, I'm just saying, like, if I lived in a neighborhood and you told me the house next door had a gas leak and could blow up, but if I lived the next block down and bought that house, that one day I wouldn't have to worry about that because they ain't no gas lines ran down through there. I don't think I'm going to buy the house on the street that has the gas leak and is going to blow up. I mean, like, that's just I mean, like, that's like the guys in the MGTOW community that's so anti-marriage. And don't get me wrong, don't marry the wrong woman. Don't marry the wrong woman. There's plenty of Jezebels out there looking for a good Ahab. But, that's like they say that marriage, like 50% of marriages end in divorce. It's like, if you walked outside the door and was going to get hit in the face with a ball bat 50% of the time, would you walk outside the door, at least not without a helmet on? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just, I'm just trying to be sensible about this. Because here in America, this place is going to go all to hell. And I mean on a roller coaster slide ride. Now, really quick, yeah, and that's the thing, all nations will be judged. But guys, if you lived in Venezuela right now and the world fell apart tomorrow, Venezuela's already a crap hole. So you know what tomorrow's going to be, D-Day +1? A crap hole. Here in America, in a first world country, and you wake up, you know what 3 days down the road's going to be? A living hell. Because nobody here cares about nothing more than what they can get drunk on today, wake up tomorrow, and repeat. All right? And their greed and their fornications and adulteries and homosexualities and pedophilias and murders and sorceries and drug sorcery. And should I digress? So I'm just saying, like, if you can remove yourself, if you handed me $1 million right now and said, okay, Luke, what are you going to do with me? I'll be like, bro, look me up in the Mediterranean the last days, because I sure as heck ain't going to be here. All right, and I'll leave it at that. Somebody said, does Zionism essentially come from Catholicism? I would say that probably I would lean a yes on that. Absolutely, the Bible says he who endures the end, so I feel there will be some saints that will still be here. Absolutely, guys. Yeah, and that's a good point. Blessed and healthy. That's why you should seek the Most High, so you can be sealed in the forehead and protected by Him. And let's all be honest here. Whether I'm right or wrong, like Jeremiah, right? He was protected when Babylon took over Jerusalem. He was still left to dwell in the land. Even they were like, hey, that was the guy that testified against you all. We ain't taking him off in bondage. They left him alone, and left him in the land. Let's see. Well, what does the Heavenly Father want you to do? That's the question. Absolutely, Michael. That is the best question. And that's why I've been praying, guys, lately. Father, please put me where you want me, doing what you want, with who you want, how you want it. Now, that's how I pray anymore, guys. And I'm leaving that to Him to sort it out, because I'm just here waiting and listening and ready. And in the meantime, I'll be either working for somebody doing construction, keeping Sabbath, and then the free time I got left, I may go to the golf course. But, if we can get up out of this place, at least if you can get out somewhere safe away from the cities, guys, if you are going to stay here in America, my goodness, don't stay up in the city. I mean, have y'all not seen the BS drama that has went on this year and the burning and everything. Now, I'm going to answer one last question, then we're going to move on to the last few things I got to talk about here. Is somebody said, what were you saying about October next year? All right, this is the deal. October of next year, that Real ID thing takes place. It is a laundry list of stuff that you have to have proper identification so you can travel, so you can come and go, just all sorts of nonsense. And if you don't have that, you just pretty much can't. You pretty much can't go anywhere. You're stuck. Excuse me, guys. And I highly encourage you to have your travel documentation now, even though you have to go through the Real ID process, because later down the road, that way you at least hopefully have bypassed this whole deal where you have to have vaccinations and all that stuff. And who knows, folks, it may eventually come down to it where that even with the Real ID, having it ahead of time before all this stuff comes, that by that time roll around, they'll say, well, you still have to have this vaccination on, you have to have this updated information and everything else. Who knows? I don't know. Governments, they just change whatever they want anytime, however they feel. Somebody said definitely no cities, absolutely. Shalom, shalom. Most Americans don't believe that there is a price to pay for its sins. It's Babylon, count them out of her, my people. I mean, look at what this country has done, like I said, to the indigenous people. Look what it done to the so-called black man from like all the way, what was it, 1619, I believe, when they showed up, and St. Augustine at the Castillo de San Marcos with the Spanish, then with the English, with the French. I mean, I just can keep going. I mean, like his 400 years of bondage is up, all right? And I mean, like, judgment is coming, folks. And if you haven't gotten a notification, like what the Most High done to Babylon, to Assyria, to Rome, to Greece, it's coming for America next. I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. All right, now, anyway, the next thing I want to share with you is this whole pedophilia thing. I want you to understand, just like I shared, and I'm pretty certain it was in Yasher chapter 76, where we see with the adrenochrome thing right there, all the way back that far in time, okay? I'm talking Egyptian dynasty, all the way back, all right? I mean, do I need to put my Indiana Jones hat on for a minute and like take y'all through history? Like, there it is, all the way back that far, an example. All the way fast forward to today to, what is it, Maxine Goslin? I can't think of her last name. If somebody wants to throw me a bone there. But anyway, her and Jeffrey Epstein and all the crap going on, and then like all that stuff that come out on that report, like about Trump and all these elected officials. I think they were Democrat and Republican. I mean, like all these twisted up people. Like people think that's a new thing, and Maxwell, thank you. I mean, people think this is a new thing, and this pedophilia thing and all this stuff, it's just a start. And I seen the sicko out there in California that apparently helped head up that bill, and I just find it interesting that California and the West is on fire right after that bill was passed. Like you look at Netflix and the whole thing with that Cuties movie. I literally watched like 30-second clip. And all I could think of, because they showed like the kids dancing on stage, and you look back and what really captivated me, and I'm sure they're all actors, but what captivated me is you see all the parents, so-called parents or whatever, sitting back there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, as a father, I haven't had a daughter. I've had a son. I'd love to have a daughter and a son. That would have been just fine, 2 children. But I just had the one son. And I'm thinking to myself, as a father, though, as a parent, had I had a daughter like that, first off, I'd be ready to whoop that child's hind end first and foremost. But I'd never have to worry about that because I wouldn't allow that to go on to begin with. But should I catch that going on, I'd be in matter and far. The second thing is, all them parents back there were just like, this is normal. This is okay. And it's like there's nothing normal and okay about, I don't know, 10, 11-year-olds twerking on a stage. I mean, like, I'm sorry, folks, that's stuff for adults behind closed doors married. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do in your marital home, that's between you and your wife. It's your business. But like this stuff that I put out from Netflix, what you got to understand from that is the people at the top don't care about you or me that actually have morals, actually are a human being, actually have feelings and conscience and care. We're the minority in their eyes, even though we make up their whole viewership, right? They lost like $9 billion in one trading day. Dude, if I had $9 billion, if I had $1 billion, I could change like the lives of almost everyone I know, I think. But they lost that in a day, one day's trade. That tells me a resounding, we don't like your content statement from the people. And they obviously did not get the memo. And what we got to understand though is you see that come out, then you see the whole Maxwell thing, Epstein thing, all these politicians, like something has got to fundamentally shake in the next year because like people are so sick and tired of all these shootings and riotings and there's going to come a point where everybody's like, you know what, I'm done burning my city down, I'm done fighting each other, I'm done killing each other. And then the attention's going to finally turn back to, oh, look at these sick politicians, look at these sick content producers, look at these sick music producers, like, what is it, Cardi B? Man, ain't nobody want that. I mean, that's just nasty. I mean, like, I'm telling you folks, like, at some point people's attention's going to turn back to reality, and they're going to be like, you know what? This is a sick place. The people at the top are sick, from the music industry to the media industry to our politicians. And we need to reset this thing. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I am telling you all right now, if, and please note the big if my channel's still around in a year's time frame with so many things changing here on YouTube, that if we're together to have conversation in a year's time frame from now on the show, I am curious to see if our country is even standing, because I think honestly this place is going to burn to the ground, and I think they know that by October of next year a lot of change is going to come. Because I mean, let's face it, folks, November 3rd, we're not going to have a new president. Maybe November 15th, after who knows how many dead people voted, and who knows how many people's votes got counted 20 times over, and all the votes they needed to get Biden elected or whatever. I mean, it's going to be a crap show. And keep in mind, I'm not on here trying to pander to y'all. I don't really care about people's emotions, feelings, or thoughts anymore if you don't align with mine. I don't. I'm a month into the new Luke no care policy. All right. I'd rather care more about if I'm gonna take my pink driver out here and hit a few golf balls. I'm just saying, like, that's the new. I'm easy flowing. But a lot of people's going to be all up in their feels come after November 3rd, and it don't matter who gets elected. It's going to be a rocky next 6 months. And, I already noticed here where we live right now, before we moved now, like the power went out 4 times in a 24-hour period. People are just not ready for the utilities to be disrupted and water to be disrupted and food to be disrupted. I mean, people lost their mind over the toilet paper crisis of 2020, folks. Let's just reason. Let us all reason together for a minute. I mean, like, people are just not ready for what's to come. And I really feel like if you're not prepped, you need to make it a priority right now, to at least have like 2 or 3 months worth of stuff, because it's going to be a rocky road into next year, post-election. Ain't no doubt about it. And especially with all the pedophilia thing and everything, like I said, winter's coming, and people ain't going to stand out in the street and burn their city down in the middle of winter. They're going to go home, sit, think about things, and they're going to be like, you know what? We need to do something about some of these people because they're sick, and we need to get them out of office, or we need to stop watching this, Yeah, somebody said it will be horrible and people will kill each other and fight for a can of beans. Yeah, I mean, this ain't no joke. Somebody said that girl Cardi B is clearly possessed. Yeah, and a lot of the musical people. I mean, what is it? What was the girl who played Hannah Montana? Oh, y'all know who I'm talking about. That chick. Man, you look how she was in the beginning, and now she's all crazy. Like, I mean, you look at all these girls that just got in the music. Miley Cyrus, thank you guys. I appreciate the bailouts tonight. I mean well, but the mind's just not there on a lot of this stuff. You see all this stuff, and how they were in the beginning and then how they are now. And I think it was my wife told me, like, Britney Spears, and I don't mean to get off subject. I'm going to get into the UFO thing, second coming Messiah. There's a couple things I want to cover here. I've got about 20 more minutes worth of content, and then I'll get in comments. But, the thing that gets me is, I think it was Britney Spears. Yeah, my wife told me that they said that apparently she was in trouble or something, and she tried to communicate. I think it was on TikTok for people like, "Hey, I need help. Please come save me," and like, she's being held against her will, I think they said, and like, who knows what happens to these poor people in the music industry and stuff. You see them go in, they look like one person, they come out the other end, man, and they are just messed up. And anyway, somebody said the cult controls the music industry. Absolutely, get yourself farmer almanac. The internet won't be a guarantee. That's right. Farmer's almanac's a good thing to have. My grandmother always held on to that. Um, Somebody said I'm feeling led lately to buy a house. I'm currently in an apartment, but I have no place to grow food, etc. Guys, you got to get out. I'm telling you, it's like somebody said I have a stockpile of rice. If you go to Be Prepared, now keep in mind, guys, I'm not getting a kickback on that. You go to Prepare for the Trumpets and buy rice. Cool, you help the channel. But I'm telling you right now, BePrepared.com has rice. I bought 3 cans the other day in the last batch I just got. I think it was like $12 for a number 10 can. But I mean, hey, that money ain't gonna matter later down the road when you starve to death. You can't eat the cash. All right. Um, so somebody said they've done simulations for possible civil unrest during this year's election. Oh, you know, that's interesting. You brought that up. Joe's daughter of Zion. I want to share something with them. They've done that. Event 201, okay, was ran earlier this year, I think, or last year, I think, a couple months before the pandemic, and it was to simulate that event, which I'm sure it was just pre-planned to get everybody in place before they kicked it off. But the crazy thing was, it was like back in 2015, um, you know, they ran this scenario where then, keep in mind, neither one of these were, this situation hadn't even arose yet, but Trump was going to be president and Joe Biden was going to be running against him. The best I understand this event scenario they ran, and that neither of them would concede the election, so Nancy Pelosi ended up being president. Now, y'all run that one through your programming in your mind, all right? That will result in a civil war. I mean, that'll just be mind blowing to see. Because, I mean, just think about it. Like last year, this time, I think it was Virginia had that big throwdown about taking up the guns. I mean, like, you just think about it. Like, a lot of people's had a lot of time to simmer on being angry at people. And you see this situation take place, man, it will be catastrophic. All right, system failure. Now, what I want to say is the next thing is people want this whole UFO agenda bad. If you didn't see, and I almost thought about making a whole video all about this, but you know, for those of you that stayed in the building and stayed with me, to you, I want to say this, for supporting this channel, is that if you seen in New Jersey the other day, there was apparently a UFO, which actually was the Goodyear blimp, I believe it was. And of course, it had the glow screen on the side, you know, like you'll see up at the sports arenas and stuff. Well, anyway, people stopped on the interstate road. I mean, just everybody practically stopped in their tracks to see this UFO. People want it so bad. People are programmed, they're geared, they're waiting for the little green man, they're waiting for them demons that look like aliens just to pop out. And this next false flag thing, okay, we've already ran pandemic, we've ran 9/11, we've ran all sorts of stuff. I'm telling you, like I've said for months now, is the alien thing is the next thing on the list. And the other day, I've already geared my mind so far, mentally checked out on this, that when I seen that the other day, I was like, cool, what model spaceship is that? Because I'm like, it didn't even affect me. I was like, okay, well, next news, what's up on the next news? Because I'm just not accepting it. Like literally, if I see a laser beam come out of the sky tonight and burn trees, I'm like, okay, that's either the U.S. government, China, or Russia. If I see a spaceship pop out in the sky, I'm like, okay, now that's either fallen angels, demonic beings, working with the government, or it's just fallen angels. But I'm still not impressed. But you got to understand, I have wisdom. And if you're watching, you're probably with a person with wisdom. But my people perish because they lack knowledge of me. I mean, that's what the scripture says, I think, in Hosea chapter 8. Well, the world perishes because they're idiots. And they don't care to learn. And they don't want to learn. So, I mean, you know, when you have 90 people that believe in UFOs and you have one guy, or let's do this, the 99 and the one sheep that went astray kind of thing, right? When you have 99 people that believe in UFOs and you have the one person that's woke, the best thing you can do is just shut up and go and be off by yourself, because the other 99, they ain't going to listen to you. All right, they've watched too many freaking sci-fi films and all this BS drama, NASA all the way, and they ain't going to get woke. I want to give a shout out to Divinely Awakened. This is the comment of the evening. Critical thinking is non-existent. I want to give a shout out award to the subscriber tonight that's watching Divinely Awakened. That is the best comment of the night. Because, man, Critical thinking is dead, folks. Um, I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely just crazy. And that's right, right? Rich Flat just smile and walk away. Now, the last thing I want to say, Tins, because I mean, like I said, guys, I don't know how long my channel's got left on YouTube. It's all the time YouTube's in it on it with me about something anymore. And I even finally signed up with a network. And matter of fact, they still lay in on me. I mean, it's. I think it's systematic, trying to remove people like myself because all we try to do is just bring out truth on here. And anyway, the second coming and the seven trumpets of Revelation, I really feel like that, before 2030, these next 10 year, I started prepping in 2009, the minute I come to knowledge. And I feel like that between now or then, 2012 to 2030, it's been a run up, because ever since 2011, because it was weird because like in 2009, what was it? It was, oh, what was the man of sin that died there a while back? It was Pope John Paul. He died. Then, of course, you have the two popes. If you look at Revelation 17, it talks about the one is not yet come. When he comes, he'll continue to short space. And, we have two popes now. It never has been, or he ain't my pope, but I'm just saying there's two men of sin currently. And they're continuing short space. They're very well aged now. They're old men. They both look like they could drop dead any minute. And so you've got I think they're both in their 90s, their early 90s. And so you got these two 90-year-old popes and probably taking adrenochrome to stay alive. And you've got that on the roster. You've got Second Ezra chapter 16 waiting to pop off at any minute. You've got the seals of Revelation looking like they're already starting to pop off. And, AI Agenda 2025, you've got Real ID 2021. I mean, the writing is on the wall. And between now and this next year, I'm going to make a whole video about this, the critical things that just punch list. I'm going to make my punch list so you can compare your punch list to mine because I'm literally in the process of doing it as we speak, literally starting tomorrow. So in this next year, you need to definitely get your act together, exit the system if at all possible. And then between next year to 2030, hold on to the seat of your pants because between that time frame, who knows when we're going to see Messiah come back, because people's talked about Messiah's return for decades and for hundreds of years and even millennia. But the problem is they didn't look at it in a full spectrum. We now have the days of Noah with Nephilimism of human beings. We have the prophetic things of like Isaiah 17 and 2nd Esdras coming to pass. We have things of the book of Revelation finally coming to pass right in front of our eyes. We have all these things that are finally coming to a head. And people's just acting like it's another day. So I really feel like this is the run-up. This next decade, stay healthy, stay physically fit, stay mentally prepared, and physically, because I think that in the next 10 years we're going to see Messiah come back, if not in the next 5. And I'm not trying to set dates. I'm just looking at everything being fulfilled. I mean, prophetic things are being fulfilled. I'm reading 2nd Esdras and 2nd Baruch and Revelation left and right anymore, comparing notes, looking at current events, and guys, there's just no getting around it. This is it. Somebody said it. But anyway, I hope this has been a help to you guys. I'm going to stick around here for the next 5 minutes. If anybody's got questions, comments, things you want to talk about, that's all I really had for tonight, guys, on this live, because I know I haven't done a live stream in a while. And there was a lot of things that I wanted to cover because, like I said, time's getting real short. And, I don't know how much longer we have on this channel. And people's content, you really should download it and save it. Like over the years, how I've shown you how to build things, do things, preps, etc., projects all the way back. Like even when I started this channel, like how to build a wood gasifier, how to wire up panels, all this stuff, and you need to really download it. Somebody asked, who are the Nephilim? If you look back in Genesis, these angels bred with women. The fallen angels came down and left their heavenly estate and decided to come be with women. Well, you see in like Greek and all this stuff these giants and things like that and etc. They're hybrids of men, angelic men with women of earth, and so they're hybridized. And you got to understand that Nephilim in that encompassment, that means that today, as of the days of Noah, we have hybridization of people again where that were like this Lucifer race where they're changing people's DNA, making them hybridize. So we see the fulfillment of as of the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. That's an important segmentation of that verse that has not been until now. So at this point, we have the possibility for that being fulfilled. And that's why I think people just don't need to understand that you got to go precept on precept, scripture upon scripture. You've got line upon line. You've got to put all that together, because if you don't lay it all out together, you don't see this continuous timeline. And this timeline where I see like Second Baruch, Second Esdras, Book of Revelation, right there. As of the days of Noah, so coming Son of Man be. I believe that's in the Book of Matthew. You see all these running up on the same timeline that they're about to hit head on, and so many generations before us has just not had that full breadth of knowledge. And we're living in the last days where men can run to and fro, knowledge may increase, and then the end will come. Well, that's exactly what's going on, just like in the book of Daniel speaks of. And I hope that answered it the best I can. Somebody said, where is the best place to start with food preps like rice? Any ideas of cheap sources? All right, guys. So give me just a second. I'm going to step off the camera, move this mic. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to show y'all something. Okay, sorry about that, but I wanted to use this as a visual example. So this is like a can of rice right here that I got from Be Prepared the other day. And I think, like I said, I think this was like $12 for this can. Now, the servings in this is 44 servings, okay? Now, the only problem with that is, that's not putting no fat on you. That's just carbs to burn. But the thing about it is, they have all sorts of things: vegetables, fruits, rice, meats, you name it. You can check that out at beprepared.com. And then also, you can go down, check the link below, Prepare for the Trumpets. It's down there below. That's two places I know you can get food. Like I said, the Be Prepared, I got that like that. The Prepare for the Trumpets over at Ready Air, that's taking a little while to get there because so many people order from them. And they got some really good prices on stuff too. But that's places that I would suggest checking out. I was at the gun show the other day, and MREs, things like that, that's hard to get anymore. I mean, like literally food preps, that's about the only two places I know to really get it, get it pretty fast. And at a decent price, in like the 30-year shelf life stuff and things like that. Because let's be honest, if Messiah don't come next 30 years, I think I'm going to die of a heart attack just dealing with people. So I ain't even going to need to worry about prepping at that point. Let's see. Somebody said this is late in the day. Think about lots of tinned food and dried fruit too. Pasta can get born after 365 days. Yes, indeed it can. But guys, if anybody else has got any other questions, like I said, I want to apologize for starting about an hour early. I just wanted to get in here and get going tonight a little early because there was a lot I wanted to cover. And, I don't even feel like I even covered it well enough that the things that people's just not thinking about. And the worst thing about it all, I'll say this to pretty much wrap this up unless somebody else has any comments, is that I think the election has got so many people distracted that by the time it's finally done and that's passed, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, at all the other crap that I missed that has went on. Somebody said everyone needs to learn how to ferment food so that it will last without refrigerator when the lights go out. Absolutely. Somebody said, how can we stock up on water when it goes bad in like 6 months? Here's the thing. If you're going to store water, you need to have some kind of filter system. That you can build a bucket filter system. When I finally get back on back on the property where I'm at, I'm gonna try to do some projects and stuff again on water filtration systems, things like that. But I highly encourage that, big time. There's a lot of different options that you can do with stuff as far as rain catchments, collections, filtrations. A Berkey is a great investment. I think it's like $300 nowadays, and that's money well spent because water and food is critical. A lot of other things, you can make fire, you can do a lot of stuff, but water and food is absolutely critical. Well, guys, look, I got to cut up out of here because I got to get up early in the morning, get going. But it has been a blast getting to see everybody again, getting to chat it up. I'm going to try to pop off some more of these Hard Truth Show episodes coming up. Got some stuff on the roster I want to talk about. I kind of compressed a lot of stuff that had been on my mind into this video tonight. But as always, till we see again here on Seven Trump's Prepper Channel and on the Hard Truth Show, hope the Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua name.